Ashridge was a kind of village that disappeared from maps, and for good reason. Locals whisper of cursed soil, hollow laughter in the night, and children who never aged. So when a woman named Eliza adopted a child from Ashridge, no one was surprised when she vanished. But what followed was something even the devil wouldn't dare touch. Eliza Marlowe was a quiet woman, a librarian with no family, no pets, no noise. After years of solitude, she decided to adopt. That's when she stumbled upon a file labeled Ashridge Cases, Restricted. Inside was a faded photograph of a boy, maybe 6, with eyes too empty for a child and a grin that didn't match his pale, worn face. Against all warnings, Eliza chose him. The agency, underfunded and desperate, approved it quickly. She named him Thomas. He didn't speak on the way home. He stared, constantly, at trees, at shadows, at her. That first night, she heard him whispering in the dark, "Thank you for letting me out." Eliza thought he was just scared. She tucked him in. The next morning, every book in her house was stacked in a perfect spiral around his bed. At the center, Thomas sat cross-legged, eyes rolled back, chanting in a language she couldn't understand. She blinked, and he was smiling again as if nothing happened. Eliza's once peaceful home began to distort in ways too subtle to notice at first. Clock stopped at 3:09 every night. Mirrors reflected her, but never Thomas. The air thickened with silence, so dense she could almost hear her own blood rushing. When she asked Thomas about the books, he said, "They told me to do it." "They?" Thomas tilted his head. "The ones on the walls." That night, Eliza watched as Thomas stood barefoot in the hallway, pressing his ear to the drywall, giggling at things no one else could hear. By morning, black symbols, burned into the wallpaper, lined the staircase. She tried scrubbing them, but her fingers blistered and bled. Desperate, she returned to the agency. The building had been abandoned for 6 years. Ashridge, she learned, wasn't a functioning village. It had burned down in 1971. No survivors. Panicked, she called the police. But when they arrived, the boy was gone. And Eliza? She was standing in the basement, whispering in the same unknown tongue. Her eyes were no longer hers. The next morning, the neighbors claimed the Marlowe house never existed. Police records erased Eliza's address. Her phone disconnected. Only one trace remained, a voicemail she had sent to her best friend the night before her disappearance. In it, she whispered, "He's not a child. He's Ashridge." Investigators reopened files from the burned village. A journal survived the fire, belonging to a Reverend Malkin. It told a ritual, the binding of evil into a vessel, a child. A failed exorcism had trapped it in Thomas. The orphanage burned, the town followed, and Thomas, if that was ever his name, vanished. Now Eliza had released him. Weeks passed. Then more children across nearby towns were reported missing. Each case traced to adoption from untraceable orphanages. Homes disappeared. Streets renamed. Just like Ashridge. One child left behind a crayon drawing. Red scribbles of a woman being swallowed by a house, her eyes bleeding black. Underneath, he'd written in jagged letters, "Thank you for letting me out again." Months later, urban explorers discovered a camcorder deep inside the basement of an unlisted property, overgrown and decaying, believed to be the vanished Marlowe home. The footage showed Eliza, pale and trembling, documenting Thomas's strange behaviors. She filmed herself reading pages from the journal of Reverend Malkin, trying to reverse the binding ritual. In the last video, she sits in front of the camera, crying softly. "He's not sleeping. He doesn't eat. He talks to things that are inside me now." Behind her, Thomas slowly walks into frame. He grins. The screen glitches. Suddenly, he speaks directly to the lens, in a voice deeper than any child's. She opened the door. "Now I walk again." The camera shatters into static. A frame freezes on Thomas's face, distorted, demonic, ancient. The file ends there. But since its upload to the dark web, viewers have reported hearing whispers in their sleep. One user went missing after claiming the boy appeared in their hallway. The video was taken down, but copies still circulate. And they say once you watch it, you let him out too. Today, people still search for Ashridge, but no one can agree where it was or if it ever existed. Some say it appears only to those marked by the child, that his presence infects memory, reshapes reality, erases evidence, a digital ghost in flesh. Locals whisper about new towns where signs flicker with names that weren't there yesterday. Children humming lullabies that haven't existed for centuries, giggling at shadows that don't belong. Thomas is not a boy. He is the curse, the ritual, the ruin. And Eliza, she's still seen sometimes, in mirrors, just behind your reflection, watching with those hollow eyes, still whispering, thanking you for letting him out again. But the true horror isn't that Eliza vanished. It's that now you've met Thomas too.